Over the years, numerous Marvel Comics bad guys have become just as famous as their superheroic adversaries. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has drastically increased the profile of some of these baddies. Villains like Killmonger and Vulture have been some of the highlights of their respective movies. But there are still plenty of bad guys who have yet to really have their day in the sun. Enter M.O.D.O.K.
Okay, stop. What is that?
'Tis some kind of... That is a very big head.
While a bit of a cult favorite, M.O.D.O.K hasn't had the same kind of standout success of some of his contemporaries. That's all set to change as the villain's about to break out in a big way with his own Hulu series, aptly named Marvel's M.O.D.O.K. Now's the perfect time to get familiar with the antagonist before he becomes the next big thing. M.O.D.O.K is really having his moment in the sun right now.
This is incredible!
The longtime Marvel Comics villain is breaking new ground. Along with Loki, he's one of the first Marvel bad guys to get his own TV series coming in early 2021.
You are hereby relieved of your status as CPA Supreme and as a living person! Remember, I still need to do your personal taxes, so...
I'm sorry. I thought this coffee was for everyone.
Comedian Patton Oswalt will voice the supervillain, and in an interview with us in 2020, the actor mentioned how resentful M.O.D.O.K is at the world.
He's a supervillain that not only hates all the Marvel heroes, he hates all the other supervillains because he thinks he should be the alpha A1, and he is basically, I wouldn't even say he's D level. He's G or K or whatever level, and so it's just double-barreled resentment every episode.
This only gets compounded when his evil organization, AIM, falls into bankruptcy. Writer, executive producer, and co-creator of the series, Jordan Blum, who also participated in the interview, explained M.O.D.O.K's conundrum at the start of the series.
In our show, M.O.D.O.K has spent years trying to accomplish this, but has unfortunately, as you saw in the clip, kind of run his evil organization into the ground. And he is, going to have to close up shop until a tech company, a Silicon Valley kind of Google-like tech company, swoops in to save it and promises, like, you can keep trying to kill superheroes, just give us a tablet by Christmas.
It's not just M.O.D.O.K's business life that comes up in the show. He also has a family, as Blum went on to say.
We're always wondering, well, what happens after he tries to conquer New York? Like, where does this guy go at night? And we decided to kind of build out that world, and the answer we came up with is he goes home to the suburbs in New Jersey to a family that we've never met in the comics, and that's where you guys come in.
With both his career and family life in turmoil, it seems like M.O.D.O.K will have more in common with a dad going through a midlife crisis than someone like Red Skull, and that's a really exciting prospect. It looks like the show will be unlike anything we've seen from Marvel so far.
I like it. I don't understand it, but I like it.
So you may be asking yourself right now, just who the heck is M.O.D.O.K anyway? And just how did we wind up on the precipice of M.O.D.O.K mania? M.O.D.O.K made his first appearance in Marvel Comics in Tales of Suspense number 93 in 1967. He was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby as one of Captain America's foes. Earlier in that series, the tech-obsessed terrorist organization AIM had discovered a cosmic cube, and attempting to understand what it was capable of, they proceeded to conduct an experiment on technician George Tarleton, going on to transform George into M.O.D.O.K in the process. AIM would come to rue their hubris as M.O.D.O.K went on a rampage and took over the entire organization. It wasn't long until he began a long rivalry with Captain America. M.O.D.O.K would go on to have conflicts with much of the Marvel Universe. In one of his most famous storylines, M.O.D.O.K kidnapped the Hulk's girlfriend Betty Ross and transformed her into a similar green rage monster who would become known as Harpy. The hype was real when it was announced a full-fledged action role-playing game based on the Avengers was coming to PS4 and Xbox One. However, plenty of people were surprised when the relatively obscure M.O.D.O.K was announced as the game's primary villain. In an interview with Shack News, Crystal Dynamics studio head Scott Amos said it all began by choosing Kamala Khan to be the game's main protagonist. We said we wanted someone as a character who could synchronize with us as players, somebody who was a fan of superheroes, particularly a fan of the Avengers. As soon as we did that, we asked, what would be the opposite of somebody who loves superheroes? It would be somebody who wants to use science against superheroes. This quickly led to the idea of having AIM in the story. And since M.O.D.O.K has traditionally been the head of AIM, it was a natural fit to bring him into the story as the big bad. Amos went on to say, that was a cool idea that AIM at the beginning of our story was actually George Tarleton as the head of AIM in partnership with Tony Stark working on this Terrigen reactor, saying, clean energy for the world, make the world a better place. So it starts with a noble goal, but that same event at the beginning, that A-Day event that infects Kamala with Terrigen mist that make her into an Inhuman, also corrupts George Tarleton. In a way, the recent video game almost makes M.O.D.O.K a sympathetic villain. He genuinely wants the world to be safer, and he just goes about doing that the wrong way. As you could probably guess from his appearance, M.O.D.O.K has the largest brain in the Marvel Universe. This grants him superhuman intelligence, however that comes at the expense of being a giant head with basically useless limbs. While he can never take on the Avengers in hand-to-hand combat, his brain makes him a serious adversary as he possesses advanced philosophical structuring, pattern solving, and enhanced intuition. He can predict the outcomes of various scenarios to the point where one of his powers could technically be precognition. That doesn't mean he's light on weapons to throw in heroes' directions. His massive intellect, as well as access to a cosmic cube, has imbued him with psionic powers, granting him telepathy to control individuals and manipulate force fields. He also wears a headband that allows him to concentrate all of his powers in a single direction, creating powerful mind beams. The Doomsday chair he floats around in also comes with some handy gadgets, such as lasers and missiles. His inability to move outside of his chair means that destroying it would pretty much put M.O.D.O.K in a bad position.
I guess you'll be sitting this one out?
The stresses his head places on his internal organs also causes them to wear out prematurely. M.O.D.O.K manages to circumvent this by having a stash of clones handy for organ harvesting. That M.O.D.O.K, always thinking ahead.
Am I good businessman?
Marvel's M.O.D.O.K is set to air on Hulu in early 2021. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more New York Comic Con videos about your favorite shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.